It's Brian from Winter Garden Yoga, and we had a special request for yoga stretches for equestrians. So we're going to go over 5 yoga stretches that are going to help you recover from horseback riding, that will help you prepare for horseback riding, and just in general, whether you ride horses or not, this is going to help you feel good from toes to nose. So grab your yoga mat and let's do it. Awesome. Let's lie face down on the yoga mat. Now throughout this follow along, I'm going to turn my head and look toward the camera to address you. Please, to the best of your ability, always keep your head in line with your shoulders and with your spine. Okay? So first things first, let's just lie face down and belly breathe for about 5 or 10 breaths. You can rest your chin on your hands. You can rest your forehead on your hands. Just hold still and breathe just for about 5 minutes. Not 5 minutes, about 5 breaths. Breathe in and out through your nose. And breathe in and out through your tummy. When you inhale, you should feel your tummy press against the ground. And when you exhale, you should feel your tummy move away from the ground. Just steady, even breathing in and out through your nose and in and out through your tummy. And we're going to come to our first pose, which is called the locust pose. We're going to do locust pose 3 times, and we're going to change our hand positions each time. So here we go. First version, lie on your tummy and point the palms of your hands up. So the palms of your hands face the ceiling. Push down through your legs, tuck your pelvis under, and then slowly peel your skull, ribs, and shoulders off the ground. It's important that you're pushing your hips into the ground. You're constantly doing what's called a posterior pelvic tilt. Keep your legs and feet on the ground because that's helping to keep your hips balanced. Now with your arms as straight as possible, palms facing the ceiling, if you can, start lifting your arms off the ground. The important thing here is to keep your arms straight. If your arms bend, you need to back up, find a spot where your arms stay straight, and do your best. What matters is the effort. How high your arms go up doesn't matter, as long as you're trying and as long as you keep your arms straight. Hang in here for just another breath, and we'll lower down nice and easy. The next variation, the palms are going to face your thighs. So it's almost like you're doing a thumbs down towards the floor. Everything else is the same. Push through your feet, tuck your pelvis, lift your skull, lift your shoulders. You're trying to extend through your spine. Arms straight, and then raise your arms this way. If your arms bend, back up, find a spot where your arms stay straight, and you try to work from there. Steady breathing. Push down through your feet, tuck your pelvis, extend your spine, and extend your arms. Gently come back down. One more. This time we try to turn the palms completely down towards the ground. Push through your hips, tone your legs, lift your skull, lift your shoulders, lift a few ribs, If it's possible, with your arms straight, take your arms up off the ground. The reason why we're turning our hands and our arms is to gently start to open up the chest and strengthen the back, and just take your shoulders through a nice range of motion. Then gently lower down. Bring your hands under your head or your chin, and we'll breathe just for a couple of breaths. Let the nervous system settle down. And let's come to all fours. All fours, we just make sure that our hands are under our shoulders, our knees are under our hips, and we're going to do some extension and flexion of the spine. Extension is when we look up. So you look up through your eyeballs, look up through your skull, and you're going to lift up through your tailbone. You're trying to extend through your entire spine. Take a few breaths here. You're trying to contract all the back muscles from the back of your head all the way down to your waist. And now we go the other way. We flex. Drop your chin. Tuck your tailbone. And we're trying to use all the muscles of the front of the body. Take a couple breaths here. Let's go one more time. Extend, slow and controlled, using the back muscles of your body. Slow and controlled. Really try to feel your back muscles working here. And then we go the other way. Flexion. Drop your chin, tuck your tail, and you're trying to use the front body muscles. Next up, we have what's called the dirty dog. Do your best to keep your spine as undisturbed as possible and to keep your hips as undisturbed as possible. This is going to help stretch out the inner thighs that get used so much during horse riding, etc. This is the left leg, so do your best. Lift your leg out and to the side without disturbing your spine, without disturbing your hips. Steady breathing. Don't worry about how high you go, because you can go really high, but you'll disturb the structure of your ribs and your spine and your hips. Just go so high as you can that you get a little bit crampy on the outside of your thigh, but you're not bending or twisting or flexing your spine or your hips. Gently come back to all fours. And let's repeat on the other side. Brace yourself. Opposite leg comes out as high as you can comfortably, without rotating, twisting, bending, etc. It's not easy. Gently back to all fours. And pause. Now, that helped stretch the inner thighs. Now we're going to help stretch out the front of the thighs. Let's come to a low runner's lunge if that's possible. The front knee is more or less on top of the front ankle bone, and the rear knee is more or less directly under the rear hip. Face forward, please. And try to be as square and as upright as possible. From this position, we try to tuck our pelvis under. And hopefully you start to feel a little stretch right here, the front of your thigh, on the leg that's on the ground. And that's the goal. That's all we're trying to do. Maybe start to drag this front foot, drag it towards your body as you tuck your pelvis under more. You're trying to get taller, 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 and you want to feel a nice little good resistance in the front of your hip. Steady breathing. Keep getting taller and keep tucking under. Gently release, and as carefully as possible, switch sides. Knee over the ankle, hip over the knee, trying to get really, really, really tall, and then tucking the pelvis under. The posterior pelvic tilt is almost like you're curling up into a ball. You're trying to extend your hips, and that's what affects the stretch on the front of your the leg that's on the ground. Keep tucking the pelvis. If you need to, or if you want to, start dragging this foot backwards. You'll feel your hamstring contract, and that will help lend itself to getting the hip flexor stretch on your bottom leg. Gently release. Come on back to all fours. Now we'll get the backs of the legs. Tuck your toes under. Extend your spine. Keep your spine extended as long as possible. Begin to straighten your legs to the best of your ability. Push yourself rearward until you get into downward facing dog, or the best variation of downward dog you can be in. Steady breathing. Constantly pushing rearward. You're trying to get the weight out of your hands and into your feet. Using your quadricep muscles to try to straighten your legs and to help with the hamstring stretch. Slowly come down to all fours, then slowly come to a seated position any way you can, and just sit up tall, nice and easy. Awesome. And there you have it. 5 yoga stretches for equestrians. Do your best to hold each pose for 5 slow, controlled breaths. You can always make the poses easier if you need to make the poses easier. There are ways to make the poses more challenging, but honestly, just do your best, show up, do the work, never hurt yourself, and never cheat yourself. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Go forth and be awesome.